Homekeepers. How are you today, my friend? It is so good to be with you. And it's just great if you can hang around with us. We've got an interesting program today, but I do like to always mention those people who are channel surfing and you just happened onto us. Hope you'll stay with us and that you will find this appealing enough that you'll visit us very, very often. And to the regular viewers, hope you know my heart and how much we love and appreciate you. Regular viewers are aware that we offer a wonderful product called Fruit of the Spirit. I have it every morning, first thing in the morning, and then I have it last thing before I go to bed at night. And it's an amazing product because it's made up of products and ingredients that I think all of them come from the land of the Bible, and they've been put together. And the scientist, the chemist, the supplement formulator, that's a good title, isn't it? He's here with us today, Dr. Mark Pedersen, and we're going to tear apart these ingredients that are in the scripture and some of their significance. I am so curious about all this. I met this gentleman a few months ago in we were in California, actually, and just one of the most enjoyable conversations I've ever had. He's a colleague with Craig Keelan, who is the president and founder of this whole Fruit of the Spirit idea. And so I'm glad to have this team member with us today, and I'm very anxious for you to meet him. Also, Wanda and I are going to make something that's not totally healthy, but you only have it when you go to a wedding or a party or something, and that's called a Creamsicle punch. I think a lot of you gals would like to have kind of a basic good punch recipe. We'll see if this one is. And we would like to offer you the Fruit of the Spirit product. If you would call 1-800-398-4643, you can place an order for it. If you good people who have our own 800 number memorized, that's not it. This is a whole different 800 number, so I hope that you will take note of that. And as Dr. Pedersen and I talk about it, and you haven't tried the product, I think you might be interested in doing so. Okay, I've joined Wanda over here, and she's scooping, it's a half a gallon of vanilla ice cream. This is called Creamsicle punch. Did you have Creamsicles when you were a kid?
Oh yeah, I loved them.
I loved those things. And so this has some of those same ingredients, and we'll see how it tastes.
Do you want to pour some of that orange juice over it?
Okay, this is half a gallon of just regular orange juice.
With no pulp.
No pulp. And Wanda made an ice ring that's hiding down in there, maybe.
I did that sort of on purpose.
Yeah, we added
Normally
that.
you add that to the end, but oh well. I don't want to tell on myself.
I'll tell you why, because she forgot to put it in the freezer last night. And
Well,
it
was God ordained, I told you, because it wouldn't fit in this freezer, the container I had it in, so that's why I did it.
And that was, what's water and some juice? You put some Fruit of the Spirit in there, didn't you?
I did, but I'm sure he's probably going to tell us you shouldn't refreeze it. So we'll see what he has to say. Also, we're going to add the ginger ale to it. And if you cool your ginger ale, make sure it's really cool, it won't foam as badly.
That's all.
This is
Those are
really
the only
all that
ingredients.
it is. And I just want to stir this in here. And then we're going to mix it just a little bit.
I think this is probably a better, more fulfilling punch than a lot of them you go to. They just have some Kool-Aid and ginger ale, and they're pretty bad. Don't do that if I come to your house. Let's. It's kind of pretty too. It's kind of a
very
color.
pretty. Well, it's creamsicle.
There we go.
Yeah, you ready to try some? Let me just mix a little bit more. All right.
Oh, there, you got a chunk of ice cream in it.
There you go.
Okay. That's one of the best I've ever had, to be honest with you. Of course, I've gone to these church things where they have the Kool-Aid and the ginger ale. Have you, Linda? I have. This is this is better than that. This is called Creamsicle. Okay, she's pulling the.
I'm trying to pull it up here so it'll be really pretty, but it was my fault for not doing it.
She told her husband, "Remind me to make the iced ring," and he didn't. So I think it's his fault.
It is all his fault, yeah. And when I went to lay down, I didn't think that I'd go to sleep for the rest of the night, but I did. But that's all right. You know what?
This is really good. It's
just
kind of
us.
creamy.
We're family, and we can handle it. But
yes, we can. And it's pretty. It's a
very
pretty, inviting punch. So, if you would like to have a copy of this recipe, the information's coming up on your screen. Probably you were able to catch it, you know, as we did it. But it really is a good one. It's a good one to have on hand, you know. You might not use it now, but a year from now, or Christmas, something, you might want it. So stay with me and you'll meet Dr. Pedersen.
If you would like a copy of today's recipe, please send your request along with a gift of $5 or more to Homekeepers, P.O. Box 6922, Clearwater, Florida 33758.
I mentioned earlier that I met Dr. Pedersen in California, and we happened to be, I guess I call it a factory, where Fruit of the Spirit is assembled and put together. And would that be the right term, Doctor? A factory?
It is.
It is a factory. I thought maybe there was a
plant, yeah.
better word for it. And I would like to show you, you know, what happened there. And then we'll talk about what we saw. This was taken in Corona, California, a wonderful place where there are a lot of good things made, but this place was good enough that they would use it for Fruit of the Spirit. Take a look. Was waiting for me when I traveled to Aseptic Solutions in Corona, California, where I watched the split-second process used to create Fruit of the Spirit. I was joined by Deanna Naylor. She's the Vice President and Marketing Director for the company. Before entering the facility, we were given unflattering hats to wear in order to keep the area pristine and free from contamination. We felt rather small gazing at giant drums holding thousands of gallons of the ingredients that make up Fruit of the Spirit. This product is actually flash frozen in only 3, that's right, I said 3 seconds. This fact cannot be overemphasized because that 3-second process guarantees the full strength of the antioxidants and minerals contained in the powerful ingredients that make up Fruit of the Spirit. Thousands of bottles were quickly filled, labeled, and prepared for shipment. I personally checked one bottle as it rolled past, and I can verify that it was extremely cold to the touch. In just a matter of minutes, the product was boxed and on its way to the thousands who now benefit from the energizing ingredients contained therein. So we left thankful for one more great learning experience and confident that just as we thought, Fruit of the Spirit. All right, that's where I met you, Dr. Pedersen, and what an amazing experience. I'd like to go back over your background a little bit. You have 14 patents, either established or pending, for formulating supplements. Now, when you were like in high school, did you take a lot of chemistry classes? What put you on that trajectory?
Was I strange, in other words? Actually, when I was 18, I came across, I was diagnosed with Crohn's disease. And I lost about 40 pounds, and my health was terrible. And the doctors really didn't know what caused it, what cured it, and they had a few things that they could help you with. But I decided to go on a quest to help myself. And so I started to study chemistry at that point, changed my life a little bit, and along the way, I discovered a whole bunch of things about God's gift through the plant kingdom. And I really, that's where I started. And so it was self-serving at the first, but then I've been able to help a lot of people through a lot of different painful, inflammatory conditions throughout the rest of my life.
So were you able to find something that helped you? I mean, you're here, so that's good.
Yeah, I've had my ups and downs. Crohn's disease doesn't go away. It's kind of like diabetes. You have it, and once you have it, you have to manage it. but I have, through botanicals and different plants, been able to manage the inflammation and keep myself so that I can travel, live a normal life. I've had 5 children along with my wife. She's put up with me, and all the little trails that we follow in life, I haven't missed out on anything, good or bad.
Yeah, I mentioned Craig Keelan, who's this whole idea for Fruit of the Spirit, but he already had a background in nutritional products and so forth. And I've said many times, his strength, his gift is putting together the best team that you can get anywhere, not just that money could buy, but the best minds. So where did you, because you and Craig have been in many parts of the world looking for the fountain of youth.
we did. We met in 1992, and our mission was the same pretty much. And we ended up at the same meeting at the same place, and we hit it off. And because of the different missions he went on and I went on, we were able to go all over the world, and we were looking for things that would make people live younger, longer. Not just live, and not just live long, but they had to have a quality of life. And so we got to study people in South America, people in Asia, different groups of people who, you know, I guess the reputation is they live longer than other people.
And they don't have microwaves.
Well, most of them don't. Most of them are rural peoples. And so we got to live amongst them, at least for a short period of time, explore the foods they ate, the water they drank, the environment, all the different factors. And you know what? Some of it's genetic. Some of it's going to be built into their systems right from the start. We found most of them to be a shorter population, thicker bones. That's just their nature.
Interesting, yeah.
But there are some things that they do to keep themselves, you know, they don't have access to hospitals in many cases. They don't have access to medical care, dentistry, anything. And as a result of that, we found some little tricks of the trade, if you will, that can help everybody. And we try to bring them back.
Yeah, and they probably don't have a gym to go to or a stair climber, but they're very active people, aren't they?
They also don't have taxis to pick them up. I remember one time we were in a pickup truck, and this man, he was 86 years old, he was walking along, it was almost dark, and we were 5 miles from the nearest town, and he obviously lived in the town. And you know, he hopped right in the back of the truck, just like a 12-year-old would. And it was just amazing. When I found out how old he was, I was just really surprised.
Probably never been in a truck, maybe?
Well, no, he knew how to get in a truck, but
He knew how.
he was prepared to walk the 5 miles into town.
Interesting, yeah.
And he'd obviously done that many, many times. So.
Yeah, now, Fruit of the Spirit, and I want to put that information on the screen right now, where you can order this wonderful product. It's just a few years old now. And if you use your credit card, you can use the 800 number that comes up, and we've got the website up right now, and I want to keep these things before you so that you'll have a chance to write it down if you'd like. But most of the ingredients in this product come from those Bible lands.
Yes.
The first thing that caught my attention was frankincense and myrrh, which I had no idea was anything you would ingest.
Well, yeah, let me tell you the one thing I have found. I have found that you need energy for life. Energy is life, but it's also death. And so what we have with Fruit of the Spirit are the things that will preserve your life. You have to generate energy to get up in the morning to do whatever you're going to accomplish, but by doing that, the energy produces metabolic waste that has to be cleaned up, and it's just like everything else in life. You've got to do your chores. And Fruit of the Spirit provides the body with the essence to clean up all the mess from the metabolic waste so we can produce energy more cleanly, more efficiently. And by doing that, you're going to live longer. You're going to avoid some of the chronic inflammatory conditions that generally put us in a wheelchair once we're aged. So that's what Fruit of the Spirit does. And well, I'll start with frankincense and myrrh. They were the highly prized tonics of Christ's day. The Magi brought them to the baby Jesus.
So they would have been very expensive when they brought them to him?
As expensive as gold in many cases.
Really?
So the gold, frankincense, and myrrh were all of equal value. Now, they didn't necessarily bring it to the baby Jesus. They brought it to his mother. They were the aspirin, the Advil, the ibuprofen of the day. Both both frankincense and myrrh were what they used to kill pain. The Egyptians would take the frankincense, which is a resin. It's a tree sap, and they would heat it, and depending on how hot they heated it, it would make a mascara that they would put over their eyes. So it was the first anti-aging cream or gum, and so they would actually use the mascara in different colors to decorate their eyes, but it would also take away the wrinkles. So it was a longevity, a healing and preservative type plant. Myrrh was the same way. The Romans would mix grape juice, basically wine. They would make an ancient NyQuil, if you will. They would take wine and they would put myrrh gum in there, and they would put another fruit from the fruit of the Spirit called lycium fruit and a couple of other things, and you would take that and it would make you sleep. And it wasn't just the alcohol, but it was the pain-killing part from the myrrh and the lycium. And so all these things that were very valuable back then as tonics, they were painkillers. And so again, that's why they brought them to the baby Jesus as a gift to him, but his mother was probably the one that used the frankincense and myrrh.
I'm going to read these because we won't have time to go through all of them.
Sure.
But we got frankincense, myrrh, aloe vera, iodine, copper, iron, chromium, manganese, yeah, potassium, zinc, magnesium, and calcium. Are those
well,
are those more minerals?
Yeah, all the minerals in that part of the world. If you go back to the scriptures, you know, Joshua fought the Battle of Jericho. Well, what Jericho was a salt mining town, and so the people inside were mining salt. Salt was also very valuable because they didn't have refrigeration. So grapes would be dried into raisins, and then certain meats were preserved with salt. And so salt was just as valuable as money. And so when they surrounded Jericho, they were after the salt mines. And
wow,
so the trace minerals come from the salts. And so we included those special trace minerals. Trace minerals are very essential to the body for generating energy. They're the catalytic converter, if you will. If you're short of any one of those minerals, and it's kind of a cycle, just like any engine that generates energy is a cycle. You have to have the manganese that's followed by the calcium, followed by the potassium. And if one of them's short, guess what? You derail the energy process and you feel tired in the afternoon. You may feel, you know, any sensation that you feel of fatigue comes from a lack of minerals first, and then from other things second. And so that's why we included those trace minerals in the product, and that's what we got them.
Yeah, I know Dr. John Young, who uses this in his practice here in this Largo area. He was especially thrilled and drawn to Fruit of the Spirit because it had minerals in it.
Right.
Do most of these health drinks that are, you know, in our stores or that you can order, they don't have minerals?
Most of them don't. They're the things that taste bad. They have a bitter taste, they have a metallic taste. For example, the government of our United States, great organization, not necessarily nutritionally oriented, but they tell you ought to take 23 things every day. 11 of them are vitamins, 13 of them are minerals. Interestingly, not only more minerals, but more volume of minerals. 5% is vitamins, 95% is minerals. So when you see bread fortified with 11 vitamins at 100% of what they tell you to take, guess what? You're only getting 5% of the nutrition you ought to have. And so minerals are 95% of the essential nutrition, and it's all about energy production. And,
yeah, I want to put that 800 number back up on the screen, so if you would like to order some Fruit of the Spirit, that's the way you do it. And you can use your credit card. They take only credit card information. That's 1-800-398-4643 to order this wonderful product that we're talking about. I'm just so fascinated when you get into the scriptures how God prepared everything for us, everything that's good. Before we started the show, you said that a lot of these products you find a Bible message in each of them. Now, I've been told that you watch that Middle East area to know when the peak of ripeness is there to be harvested. Is that true?
it is.
Okay, now, why is that so important?
Well, the antioxidants come right at the end. The difference between a green fruit and a red fruit, let's take an apple. When it's green, it doesn't have much antioxidant protection, but when it's red, it's in the color of the fruit that really gives the protection. So that once you pick an apple, it doesn't just shrivel away and die. I mean, a banana does. It doesn't have a very long shelf life, especially if you open it. It turns black almost immediately. But an apple is protected by that skin that's highly colored. And so there's all kinds of orange and yellow fruits that last a long time. There's a bunch of red and purple fruits that do the same. And so as a result of that, that's where God kind of smuggled in the protective part of the fruit. He draws us in by the sweetness and the pulp, but then it's the bitter. It's the bitter and the you know, the poor tasting, maybe the textured part of the fruit that we don't like to eat. Sometimes we peel it off, but that's where the healthful benefits come.
And fruit of the Spirit doesn't just make juice. They use everything. They
Whole
use the
fruit,
seeds,
yeah.
the skin, and that.
Whole fruit purees. We don't use any preservatives because of the process that you described at the first. No flavors are added. These are just the natural essences of the fruit. And all of them came from, you know, the general region of Palestine. There's some great orchard and vineyard land in that part of the world. Many of them are native to that part of the world. A lot of them have cultural meaning to us as well. Christ, when he was crucified, was given a crown of thorns. Those thorns came from the jujube, the ziziphus, the hawthorn, all these fruits that really help our heart. And so
Wow.
when they put the thorns on his head, there's a fruit that goes with those thorns that really has a benefit to increase the longevity of our heart and circulatory system.
You're giving me chills, brother. This is so Craig Keelan, the head of this, because I have been to his offices and things in Texas. Everything is the best.
Yes.
Top notch,
Yeah.
and that's what this product is. Okay, let's go over the fruits, the whole fruit purees.
We'll start with the apple. We can start in the Garden of Eden with the apple, and
Okay.
you can move on from there.
Okay,
So
I'm going to list these
Okay.
and pull out the ones that
have biblical
have some
reference.
real bilberry, lycium.
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 Lycium comes
Fruit,
from
yeah.
the southern part. It's up there with Ephesus and Corinth, in that part of the world.
Oh, this is so interesting. The plum. What's an Aronia?
Aronia is a cherry.
A
And
cherry.
So cherries are typically high in vitamin C and antioxidants.
The hawthorn berry you've mentioned. Pomegranate. Pomegranate's kind of on a roll right now. You see a lot of
It
it in
is.
the stores and in
And
drinks.
they really believe that it's native to Israel, that part of the world. It's been spread throughout the world, but it actually had its start in Israel. It was imported into Egypt for the queens of Egypt from Israel. So,
The apple you mentioned, the purple grape, grape seed.
well, think about grapes. Not only the water to wine that Christ did, but grapes were only harvested once a year. So how did they keep them and preserve them? They typically just dried them into raisins, and then they would have them to consume throughout the year. The Jewish population and even the Muslim population, they don't really do alcohol. They never turned it into wine. They actually dried them into grapes. It wasn't until the Romans came. The Romans were the big wine. They had vineyards, the Greeks as well, and they brought it in the fermented form. But originally it was just drunk fresh, you know, and then also having dried grapes. And so
Jujube?
the jujube.
Jujube.
That was one of the. It's a date, one of the date family, along with ziziphus, and again they're very viney, dendritic with a lot of thorns. And if you were to strip our bodies away and leave only the circulatory system, it would look just like a jujube tree or a ziziphus tree or a hawthorn tree. And so the ancient herbalists said, this looks like our blood vessels, so it must help our blood vessels. It was the doctrine of signatures.
Makes sense.
So
Then there's the fig, the blueberry, and the sea buckthorn. I've never heard of that.
the sea buckthorn is actually a plant that grows in salt or alkaline type environments. So it helps us with trace minerals. That part of the world obviously has the Dead Sea, and so the sea buckthorn is very, very prominent in that part of the world. Lives in very hot, harsh climates, and it can survive in alkaline soil.
So now what is significant about the Dead Sea? I've
Well,
been there.
Yeah, well, the Dead Sea, the trace minerals.
Where the minerals come from.
That's
right?
where the trace minerals come from. And again, they have salt mines at Jericho, which is on the Dead Sea. And those trace minerals are very important because your body uses those to catalyze the energy reactions. So it takes fat and it takes sugar and it takes oxygen. It brings them together in the cell, but the things that makes them combine and produce energy are the minerals. And so, for example, the oxygen is drawn to the cell with hemoglobin. Hemoglobin has at its center iron, which is one of the trace minerals. And so if you're deficient in any of that, everybody knows if you're anemic, you have a lack of iron, and you know what fatigue sets in and energy is not generated. It's the same with other trace minerals. They're not just as famous.
When King David said we're fearfully and wonderfully made, you know, you could never plumb the depths of that. We're almost out of time, but I would like, if you could, in a few seconds, address inflammation, because these kind of products are going to ward that off, or will it reduce it even?
So we told a great story. Now what does it do?
Yeah.
The first thing is you reach 30 or 40 and your muscles start not being as strong, and you tend to get tired more often, and suddenly you get aches and pains. The aches and pains are a result of inflammation. Inflammation is usually a signaler to you that you've got some sort of degenerating process going on. The inflammation can come in your heart. It's a kind of a silent killer. You don't really feel it until you have a heart attack. It can come, you'll bruise easier, so your blood vessels aren't as strong. Your joints will ache, you'll have arthritis, and you know, various places. You'll tend to get ladies in the female organs, men with the prostate, all those reproductive organs start to basically chronically swell, and we get all the diseases of aging, and that's what Fruit of the Spirit is about, to take away those aches and pains, which are really a precursor to premature aging.
And it seems like inflammation is the culprit each and every time. So we're offering you something here. I hope you'll take advantage of that number that we had on your screen, and that you will find something that to me is very, very worthwhile. And I hope you'll join me next time, remembering there's no higher calling than that of a homekeeper. God bless you.
If you would like a video copy of today's Homekeepers program for just $19.95, call 1-800-229-0059 for credit card orders, or send a gift of at least $19.95 to Homekeepers, P.O. Box 6922, Clearwater, Florida 33758. Be sure to note the program number which appears on your screen.